Hi to all my dear family and friends out there. So, I decided to make a video explaining to you what's been going on this first week because it's just too much to put in writing, and it's especially too hard to put out separately to everybody. So, first and foremost, just know that your messages, your emails, your telephone calls have meant the world to us here. It helps us to feel not so very alone because we went from the experience of Friday night being in the festive, experience of Shabbat and Simchat Torah to Saturday morning. Everything changed. 8:15 in the morning, first sirens went off. Honestly, did not know what to do, couldn't understand what was going on. It took us until the next siren, which I don't even remember how much after that first one had happened, that we understood, okay, something is going on and we need to get ourselves to be as safe as possible. We don't really have a functioning safe room, but we went down to the lowest level of our building. We got away from windows. There we found other neighbors who were also congregating, including our upstairs neighbors. The wife is pregnant, has a 9-month-old baby. I have to tell you that in all the years I've lived here in Israel, we never had the amount of sirens that we had Saturday morning was more than all the sirens total that we've ever experienced since living here in Israel. So we entered a totally different reality very suddenly, and it took until that night and the next morning for us to understand just how devastating and awful and terrible the news was that was coming out of the south. So just to give you a very quick update, Saturday morning was very strange. They closed synagogues, told people to go home here in Jerusalem. At some point, friends of ours called up from downstairs because we made a point of locking our front door, which is usually not locked on Shabbat, to allow people to come in freely, but for security reasons we locked it. Friends began to shout up as they were coming back from synagogue, came up, we all trying to process. We decided to have a meal together with very dear friends of ours who live at the other end of the street, because at times like this, you don't want people to be alone. And especially these friends found out within a short time that they have a daughter who is living in Sderot. She has since left there with her husband to go to Eilat, but at the time she had a daughter in Sderot where so many of the missiles were falling and 3 other sons who were being called up. So we went over there and thankfully we had a meal together, which was a godsend. So one of the things I want to say is at times like this, it's really, really important to reach out so that people do not feel alone. Many of you have been asking, what can we do, because there's such a feeling of helplessness. So one of the most important things you can do is just reach out. And honestly, the first couple of days I was paralyzed. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't really reach out. I was exhausted. I'd gotten a flu shot on Sunday morning. Some of that might have been from the flu shot, but I'm sure the majority of it was just the not being able to contain this situation. And I'm not going to go into the details. You can CNN and Jerusalem Post and Fox News and all the different networks, liberal to conservative, are all reporting what's coming out, and what's coming out is just horrific. And I don't want to focus on that. I just want to focus on what's been happening on a very, very personal level. So for the first couple of days, I was pretty much non-functional, slept more than normal, and had difficulty sleeping. Woke up in the middle of the night to suddenly see, I'm kind of an insomniac in the middle of the night, and normally lights are off all around me, and I'm one of the only lights on. But not surprisingly, lights were on in many, many different buildings in the middle of the night. I guess I would say starting on Saturday night. On the other hand, the streets of Jerusalem, those first couple of days, were eerily quiet, eerily silent. You see far fewer young men around. Everybody knows somebody who's been called up. Everybody knows somebody, if not directly, through one more degree of separation, who has been tragically affected. In other words, somebody who had bought the book I wrote, Angels in Tehina, who I remember is a lovely, lovely man. His son is one of those missing, and very likely they believe that he's in Gaza. They don't know if he's alive or dead. I had a client who lost a family member already during the first, second day of the war. Everybody knows somebody. This is a tiny, tiny country. But my other message is that there's incredible resilience here and there's incredible hope. You cannot even begin to imagine the numbers of volunteer initiatives that are going on everywhere in the country. This is a strong country, and we choose life, we choose hope, we choose resilience, even in the midst of the most awful tragedy since the Holocaust. Those of you who want me to send you links that kind of put this in proportion, I'm happy to do that. What I will ask you to do is pray. Pray, pray, pray for us. Please stand by our country. What's happening, of course, in Gaza is horrific as well. Many of their civilians and soldiers, though, clearly don't choose life. They choose death. They seem to be okay with death. We Israelis are not okay with death. I pray for everybody on both sides, but I also pray primarily for us to be safe. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is, and I don't care about being politically correct right now. If you want to know what else is happening, is I have had such a range of emotions, from paralysis and not being able to function, to anger, to devastation, to being bereft, to having my heart broken open on Tuesday night and just cried and bawled my eyes out. So this has already been a long enough video. I'm going to stop that right here, and I hope to continue to send you updates. But be in touch with those that you love. Focus on the small, precious things of life that many people now are not able to take advantage of, and reach out to those that you love.